There have to be a big collaboration between the editorial team and the sales team, because when you're talking about native, you're talking about storytelling. And storytelling is about editorial content, and as a publisher, as we are, it is like our everyday business to tell the perfect and relevant and trustful stories to gain, the biggest asset, which is like the time of our consumers they spend on our contents. And if we're talking about native advertising, it's like the same as our everyday editorial work. We have to tell great stories. And if the sales team doesn't understand the true assets of good content and what it's, about, what's the relevant content, what's about dwelling times, they will never be in the position to sell native right. And the other way around, if the editorial teams are not gaining insights of the everyday sales work, which is about hard figures, it's about money, it's about convincing brands and advertising partners to spend their money in our portals and platforms instead of others, it's the best to combine the two worlds together and to create this help force, as we say. So the key to set up a successful task force is definitely to train and educate the staff you're working with to this new topic. And in our world, we say that the task force, perfect task force for native advertising, consists of the sales team and the editorial team. You have to get the two departments together and show them the big picture to get them on the same page. So what we do is we set up an intern company blog. So we educate best practices or share best practices and educate them on our strategy. And we also set up a webinar academy from employees to employees, where we communicate the best practices and learnings we have. So it's all about education, whether it's your internal staff, but it's also the brands you're working with. So what is native advertising? What are the perfect KPIs and the goals for it? You have to go and do some number crunchings, do a lot of data analysis and see what are the contents that are really, gain a lot of reach. And if you share these experiences and the learnings within this help force team and try to come up with new business opportunities, like doing native advertising for a certain kind of customer group, you start scaling native advertising. And this comes to the point when we can use one template and spread it to the SMEs outside. So the best way for teamwork is actually getting insight in each other's world, so sales department and editorial department and vice versa. Then you come up with the ideas that really go crazy out there on the market. To have a successful native task force, you have to clearly define workflows between the different parties. And although we say the help force is one team, you clearly definitely have to describe job descriptions. So who's taking over what kind of part in this project, and the sales part, definitely the sales parts include the negotiations about pricing, pricing and the amount of contents, while the editorial team is more like really into getting to the ground when we're talking about what kind of story, how deep with the brand integration do we publish the content with. Yeah, we made our learnings and learned from mistakes that we made, definitely. And the biggest one is that I underestimate the time that it takes to form a real native task force, as we name it, help force, at Ebner Media Group. I really thought we would set up the process in a shorter period of time, but it took a long way to educate the both sides, the editorial department and the sales department, and put them together in the help force and get them on the same page what native advertising is. And this is definitely something we learned, that the transformation process within publishers, within every company they are going through, takes time and takes a lot of education. The most interesting developments about native advertising at NEBNA is that really we see the development that the Helpforce teams really got into native advertising, that they understand the need and the business opportunity we get out of this business field, because like the spendings for classical media are definitely decreasing. So on the one hand, for sure, we have the need to develop new business opportunities, but on the other hand, it's so great that we can evaluate and develop further. We are not anymore just a publisher and the brands in the past wanted us to print their PR, blah, blah, blah. And nowadays it's more like that we become a real business partner for them, because they get to the point where they understand that partner and collaborating with us as a media partner, they get the best access to their target group, telling their story with a true native and true trustful editorial work.